Hi Prashant,
Hi.
pleasure meeting you once again.
Hi, pleasure meeting you once again as well. And thanks for inviting me on your podcast. And when you told me that you are starting something like that, I was very happy and very excited to sit with you and discuss on the topics. And I'm really happy that you are doing something like this for the students and aspirations who are coming from Tier B, Tier C cities. My best wishes to you, and hope I will be able to give you some inputs, and your audience would benefit from that. So,
Definitely, Prashant, thank you so much. First of all, to take out time from your busy schedule. It means a lot. So this ZYNC Podcast, as you rightly mentioned, is just an initiative to support our students, primarily from the smallest towns and cities, Tier 2, Tier 3.
Right.
So most of the corporate leaders are not able to reach to those smaller towns and cities, the colleges, institutes
Right.
there.
Right.
So idea was to connect somehow our corporate leaders' knowledge, insights to that population as well. So that's how I started it.
Very good.
So Prashant, you have a deep experience. I
Yeah.
believe more than a couple of decades experience supply chain.
Yeah, it's been 25 years.
25 years. Then
Yeah.
that too quite diverse in different industries.
Yes. I would say I start my career from core earth moving industry,
Okay.
then moved into electronics manufacturing or contract manufacturing, then 10 years in core telecom, operator side and a vendor side, Nokia, where we share the same, and then into engineering, purely engineering, and now into real estate, but into a facility management vertical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're running facilities management with
Yes.
one of the top developers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
metro like Mumbai.
Yes. So I am heading the facility management from a procurement and operations point of view.
Okay.
And I take care of assets almost 55 to 60 million square feet pan India, which are where we are present into mostly currently we are present into Tier A cities like Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Pune, Bengaluru and Chennai.
Okay.
And I'm heading we have multiple verticals, and I'm heading a commercial vertical wherein this 55 million falls under all commercial assets on pan-India level.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So what exactly is the real estate industry? I know that most of our viewers will be quite interested to know what happens on the behind from the supply chain perspective.
Sure.
So just give a glimpse of real estate industry, and then we'll talk about the facilities management which you lead.
Sure. So real estate industry is construction. When you say real estate, there are three major verticals. One is your residential. So when you say residential, is either a home or a flat or a tower. That is mainly towards catering to a residential, and another is a commercial real estate. So these assets can be different in terms of, it can be an IT park, or it can be a shopping mall wherein the shops are there, and maybe something like Cineplex
Or an SEZ?
yeah.
Okay.
And maybe also at the same time there could be a standalone properties also. Even it has a hotel as well as so these are major segments of the real estate predominantly, wherein the most of the real estate developer is looking at developing. So first thing is the land acquisition, and 50% is your land acquisition cost in the real estate, and then come the major cost drivers. I would say this as an direct material or A-class material, that is cement, steel and labor. Three. So land acquisition and these three, that drives the prices of your homes or our homes. That's how the real estate segment is formed, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where does facilities management comes into picture?
So facilities management is something once a developer develops the entire property. It can be residential, it can be commercial as well. Once it is completely fully constructed, done, either it is sold or either it is leased out, and then comes the facilities management of maintaining that property.
Okay.
And then it required services like housekeeping services, security services, then the maintenance of the equipment, because in any residential or any building or any real estate, there are lot many equipments which a developer install, including elevators, the cooling systems, the HVAC, the firefighting systems, the parking systems, etc. These need to be maintained as well, and either once in case of real estate, the society, once it is formed, or RWA, what we call, is formed, they take care of it, or in commercial estate, the developer himself will take care of it. So these are all comes into the facility management areas.
Okay.
And these what I would call a direct material, indirect materials or services. So majorly AMCs, maintenance parts, and any other. So all these equipments are capital equipments, So maintenance of all these capital equipments is important, and that's how it comes into a picture for facility management. It's not only limited. People thought that facility management is just housekeeping. It's not like that. It's an end-to-end service.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just touching back to the real estate aspect as well, which you just explained, that is probably the build phase.
Build phase.
Under construction area.
Correct.
So how does that happen? What are the challenges? Just give a glimpse. I know that your area is probably the run phase when the construction is over.
Since we are sitting in the same office and share the same thing, but we know that, let's say, X property is under construction today. After couple of years, it will any which has come to us from a management perspective. So we know that build phase. So as I said, first cost driver is your land acquisition, and then come the various necessary legal approvals. That also has some cost associated to the same. And then begin the phase of actual construction. When it comes to an actual construction, mainly either there are two trains of doing it. Either you do a build kind of a contract. So we have tier 1 companies here in India who takes the complete end-to-end contract to core and shell to build the entire building, and then everything is managed and included into the with material contract, I would say. So they will buy cement, steel and everything for you, and then they will construct and they will hand it over. It will be having a, let's say, XYZ crores of price. You have to construct that entire building and then hand it over. And the second way of doing it is you are doing on your own. So you are buying the direct materials like steel, cement, etc., and then giving a labor contract to a tier B or smaller contractor who actually do the construction work. But he will bill you for the labor. Subcontracting, and he will be billing you for a labor work. Material will be provided by you. All the materials will be provided by you, including the capital equipments also, including DG sets, firefighting, plumbing, piping, or furnishing, everything. That's how it's segmented out. And when it comes to supply chain, again, these three factors are important in terms of direct materials, that is cement and steel, which plays a major role in any of the construction areas. And as you know, these are all market-driven forces, completely market-driven forces. And that pricing has been driven and managed by we have many major steel companies and cement companies who has driving all these things. So if you look at a 10-year horizon, the prices of steel versus the prices of steel today in an open market, there is a huge increment, and That's where every year you will see the cost of your flat in real estate is increasing
multiple times.
And that's how it is. At the same time, the labor factor as well. So like every state has their own labor laws in terms of how much you can pay to the labor. They have a defined structure: skilled, mini-skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled, and they have a fixed wage structure.
Okay.
But every state there is a revisions into the minimum wages 2 times in a year, and the state decides how much percentage or basis point they want to give the rise, depending on their own agenda and political scenarios and etc. and stuff like that. Some of the states are very highest paying. The wages are very high in some of the states in India compared to the other states of India. So that also again plays a big role in terms of wages to be paid, because that's a compliance part. Again, you cannot be under compliant if you are a listed company. If you are a listed company, then you cannot just giving people 1,000 rupees and taking a signature for 10,000 rupees. That cannot happen. So they have to be. You have to pay by minimum wages. You have to cover them medically. You have to pay their gratuity, PF, all these things. So this again is a cost, which goes into the construction cost. At the same time.
Now coming to the main part of the facilities management, you just explained the different kind of items which are required, which goes into the indirect material. So where are your main suppliers in this industry located? Are they Indians or you have dependency upon the foreign?
So see, when facility management took over, mainly we don't buy any capital equipment as is now, unless and until it is a brownfield project. So let's say a building is little old, 15-20 years, and we want to ramp it. We want to do some kind of a brownfield project. So want to change. Then we interact with vendor. And mainly when it comes to the capital equipments, majority vendors are MNCs. So when I say that is generators, the HVAC systems, the air conditioning systems, central air conditioning systems. Then there will be also vendors from escalators or elevators. Though now most of them has started manufacturing in India, but not that level,
that extent
where the industry is growing. So I would say 50% is still, but 50% is still not there in India. So we are still dependent on supply chains outside India for them, because that's what it is. Majorly it is either coming from China, Southeast Asia, and maybe very top mainland Europe like Germany, etc. So the lead time and the supply chain of those has to be calculated well in advance during my planning phase. So when the first construction starts, the first digging start, the people have to plan well in advance when I have to start the negotiations or float a tender for these equipments, when I would get the deliveries. Sometimes what happens is that the DGs are there lying at my site for 9 months, 10 months, but my construction is slow. So it's a very challenging scenario in terms of project planning. Project planning plays a major role.
So for this, for example, capital assets, you said DGs, air conditioner, you do the outright purchase or they are
we do the outright. We do the outright purchase, and then once the asset is developed and handed over to clients, then we do the maintenance. But our philosophy of doing the maintenance is with OEM only. We do not give it to third party because we wanted to have the longer life of those assets, because ultimately those are assets for us. We are not selling it. We are maintaining the entire assets of those capital equipments. So we want that longevity of the product as per OEM. So if OEM says that my product life cycle is 20 years. We ideally want that to perform 20 years. So that's the reason the maintenance we give it to only OEM and stick to their schedule. Even if it is a some percentile higher from the because generally what I see people is that maintenance का क्या cost होता है, ठीक है, ignore it. But then when it comes to the breakdown, then the OEM will come and say that okay, since you have not given the maintenance to me, the part replacement will cost you a bomb. That's the challenge. Yeah.
Okay. And now on the facilities management, so what kind of contracts? You go for the longer term contracts, short term, how it is?
Yeah. So when it comes to capital equipments, we generally go for a long term contract. And what happens nowadays? Nowadays the trend is that during the construction phase, when I'm buying the capital equipment, at that time only I'm negotiating for next 5 years the AMC contract, because then for the supplier he gets a surety in terms of that we are committing 5 years AMC at the time of purchase itself. So there are two important advantages in this. One is the supplier gets a guarantee that yes, I am getting an AMC, and me as a buyer can leverage on the cost. I get a better leverage on negotiations in terms of getting better price from the supplier. And I can say that I am not just buying, but I am committing from day one. Once your DLP is over, that is minimum or your warranty period is over, 1 year or 3 years. Next day onwards, you will get the AMC. And you will get the AMC for next 5 years.
Okay.
And I am negotiating with you whatever every year, since there is a diminishing effect, the price may not be the same, but then we agree on certain cost increase of the second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year onwards. And I get an advantage that then I am utilizing that equipment 100% for the entire its product life cycle with a minimum cost. So that's a dual advantage to both. To me as a buyer, to us as a buyer, I get a cost advantage, and the seller, the OEM, also get a commitment of 5 year longevity period and commitment of AMC. So he also knows what would be his income from AMC from the first year onward or second year onwards. So he can go to his management and he can commit that this is my inflow of money which will be coming in next 5 years from this aspect.
This is a lot, and definitely it will be coming up.
Correct. At the same time, this is mainly capital equipment. The other aspects like security contracts or housekeeping contracts, etc. These we are in general looking at a 3 year period minimum 3 year period, because larger portfolio there is issues in deployment, and because if I just limit it to just a 1 year, whoever is the vendor, for him to get used to my various location, multiple geographies will take minimum 3 to 7 months, and then his delivery and performance will start. So it's better to give it for a minimum 3 year per time, where at least the supplier gets a chance to perform and add value to your contract. So that's how the thought process is. We are now thinking of bundling the entire services into one contract, what we call an integrated facility management contract. Okay. So wherein all services will be under one umbrella, including facilities, security, and other contracts. Like there are many small maintenance contracts, like maintenance of my STP plants, outputs, then horticulture, like this one is here. So all this all small soft services we are bundling into one contract, and then thinking of putting into one kind of an integrated FM contract, so that it is more attractive, and we get a good price as well.
So now industry is shifting to that kind of model where company is Sodexo, because we have been hearing that name quite often in the different industries.
Yes.
So we have more players like that.
Yes. So we are looking for somebody like Sodexo. Of course, we are not Sodexo like Sodexo.
Yeah, there would be many.
There would be many. Tier 1. Just a name example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not taking any names, but the people know who are the tier 1 players and MNC players into this area. So we had already floated an RFP. We are just meeting with the vendors. So this entire 55 million, 60 million will be managed by either two vendors. It will be a one integrated contract and not a cost plus model. A simple cost plus model, which is like, you say that, okay, I have 10 million square feet of area. You give me 50 headcounts. Out of that, X is janitors, Y is cleaners, A is pure security guards, B is facility attendant, and then you just do the traditional way of cleaning up. So we are moving from a traditional way to more of an integrated way, wherein what we are saying, I have a 10 million. You have to assess how much headcount you want to put it. I just want output, and I will measure that output. And standards, as we have already defined. This is where the industry is shifting now. This is where the industry is shifting now.
And what are your cost saving measures or levers for that perspective?
That's a major lever. See, right now today, if you ask me any facility management who is doing on their own, the major challenge is managing many multiple contracts. Like I said, under soft services there are hell lot of contracts like pest control, this carpet shampooing, then marble polishing, then cleaning, waste management. These are all multiple contracts. Drain chamber in monsoon is drain chamber cleaning. Then kitchen, we have F&B areas, so door cleaning and all these things. So there are multiple. I would say I have around 40 odd contracts, which will be bundled into one single contract.
You will be having the cab facilities or the transport facilities?
We are not right now looking at a transport facilities. Transport is out because the clients are managing their own.
That generally comes in the facilities?
Yeah. That generally comes into facility management. That also comes into
the companies which
and F&B also. Food is also. Since we are the owner, the clients are managing their own F&B, food vendors, to be honest. But we are taking care of the entire common area maintenance, which is our forte. So where we are bundling all these contracts into one single contract. So I don't have to manage these multiple contracts. Okay, and then trying to get a leverage from the cost, which is a bundling as a lever, mainly for a cost saving.
So, what is the role of ESG? How your facilities management or the real estate per se is able to contribute towards ESG and sustainability?
So I would come on one part. We are listed company now, and we are also listed into REIT. So REIT is a real estate investment trust, which is created by the government of India. It's kind of a mutual fund kind of a scenario. It's a little complex, but in a crude way, something like a mutual fund, wherein the investor can invest into those trusts, and then whatever the leasing yield we have, every quarter investors get their bonuses of share and etc. And we get investment from FIIs as well as domestic investment as well. So it gives the leverage to have good amount of money coming into, so that you can then deliver grade A kind of an offices which are like fully green buildings. So all our buildings are green. So we are committing 2030 ESG numbers, and that's the reason we are saying that all our buildings are green buildings. We are completely now moving into solar. At the same time, the water management is our completely internal. We have all up-to-date sewage treatment plants and water treatment plants, where we are not discharging any water outside or treated water outside. We are treating entire water into our entire buildings and entire parks and not moving it out. So that's how people are doing it into ESG. Also, at the same time, see, for direct materials also, ESG plays a big role in terms of attracting new clientele as well.
Yeah.
Because for MNCs, that's a very big point when you say that my entire facilities are green building, there are a lot of green spaces.
Makes sense since
Yeah.
India's cities are now super polluted.
Absolutely. From that perspective, there is a big focus on that, and I would say real estate is one of the culprit contributing to the air quality. But yes, government is also doing with a lot of their norms and all. But we as a developer also has taken targets in terms of meeting the ESG norms. We are doing lot many things into the same.
So ESG and sustainability, does it also falls under your purview as a head of facilities?
Well, we have a sustainability vertical altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. We have a sustainability vertical altogether. They take lot many initiatives either into construction phase, so like getting various certification for our under construction building like GRISB, green building certification, etc. And then LEED certification as well. And then for the facility management also various initiatives and ideas. But then from a vendor point of view, procurement we execute it jointly. So there are not many consultants we appointed for just to see that the lights are consuming how much energy, how we can save on that. Our facades are we do something on that. How the glass can be in a such a way that it can be more energy efficient. That's one. At the same time, how we can use EVs for our common movement within
the campus.
Within a campus. Or nowadays, lot many our business partners has the EVs. So why not give them the EV chargers? They are looking for that and promote people to use more EVs. So these are all step-by-step norms and sustainability efforts we are taking. Or as an industry, everybody is doing it right now. These are the norms.
So do you think
ESG and sustainability is here to stay. Okay. And as you said very correctly, our cities are, choking like nothing. So that's how it's a big burden on the real estate industry to do something about it.
So all the different big players or the smaller players, are they really turning up to ESG and sustainability, or it is only
Bigger player, yes. Bigger player, yes, definitely. Bigger players, definitely, yes. Because once you are listed, then you will have to follow all those norms and all. Even the ones who are not listed but wanted to list, because ultimately it's a cash flow. I mean, the small players may not survive for long in terms of absence of cash flow. You will have to diverse and you will have to go public at some point of time. And I see in last 4 or 5 years, you see that many real estate players pan India. I'm not talking about only in real estate players in let's say part of West India or in North India and in South India has gone public to raise capital. Yeah.
Now, let's touch upon the skill sets which you look at, especially from the supply chain point of view.
Yeah.
We talked about the facilities.
Yeah.
So, from supply chain in real industry or real estate industry or the facilities, what kind of skills do you normally look at?
So when it comes to the skill set of the people you want to hire or you want to work, so I would again separate it out into two parts. Okay, one is a core real estate which comes into your under construction project, and one is the facility management vertical. So the real estate or contract or purchase is wherein the people has a what you can say, the experience from the working in the core real estate. So categories like somebody is buying cement or steel, or doing the labor contracts, or maybe buying some kind of a capital equipment, or even for that matter your furnishing or toiletries, etc., etc. Those are the skill sets which probably are for the real estate. But when it comes to the FM vertical, the FM vertical skill sets are little different. So it's like a more of a, I would say, jack of all kind of indirect purchase experience. So I'll just make a difference between what is direct and what is indirect purchase. So direct purchase is something which goes into making of a product. Whatever the material goes into making of a product is a direct purchase. That's called a direct purchase or direct material. Rest everything will fall into indirect purchase. So other than direct materials, whatever your product may be, okay. Let's take an example of a car. So that's the doors, the engines, and etc. The whatever components of the car would be the direct materials, and the facilities of the plant where the car is being made would be indirect material. So maintenance of that car plant, the maintenance security of the plant, the F&B, the employee transport you mentioned, the MROs, the robots and all, the maintenance of that, their spares, etc., categories, IT, telecom, travel, everything comes into indirect purchase. So facility kind of a people, then we look for somebody who has an kind of an understanding of indirect purchase. We don't limit it to certain industry, or let's say somebody has to come from a facility management industry as well. It can be from manufacturing also, but here he understands what is security contracts, what is facility housekeeping contracts, what is maintenance, AMCs, equipments.
Okay.
So there's a little different.
So for a supply chain person into indirect, you're saying that he should have some knowledge into the purchasing as well as understanding of the contract, the legal terms.
Yeah, legal terms.
Right. So without that, the person will not be
legal terms, and also not only legal, Incoterms as well.
Incoterms.
If
the
commercial Incoterms and some of the understanding of the contracts, because you are any which was negotiation, there are a lot of different payment terms and milestones, and nomenclature, LCs, 10%, 20% advance, balance payments. So you need to be a techno-commercial kind of a person who should, well versed with all these things, and that's what. So any new beginner who just wanted to start his career into supply chain and procurement, ideally should be a good idea to work in indirect purchase.
Okay.
Because that will create a lot of opportunity and plethora of opportunity in multiple industries as the career goes. Okay. Versus, let's say, a direct purchase would probably lock into specific industry and area itself. Yeah.
Which has its own advantages.
Which has its own advantage, no doubt about it. But then I have so many friends who has been for 20 years working into automotive industry.
They become either you call it typecast or they become expert in that.
They become expert in that. Or I have so many friends who are working in pharma industry for 25 years. They are doing procurement and sourcing, but pharma or in automotive. Okay, but being into indirect gives you an opportunity to shift from one industry to another. Agnostic, yeah. It's not locked in an industry. People generally look for ये candidate में ये basic skills है ना. That's it.
But that remains acceptable for when they need the growth after a few years of joining. Means the middle levels, manager, senior manager, and all those hierarchy.
Yeah. So to be on a middle level, probably people look for this thing. But as you grow, then of course some sort of expertise you have to build on yourself, and not just being just a kamchalao,
just jack of all
with no expertise. You will have to. So in cricketerdom, you will have to be a real all-rounder.
Either a batsman
or a real all-rounder
all-rounder
who can bowl. So you have a 300 test wickets and a 3,000 runs. that's the criteria.
That's what is required at the middle level. Huh?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So you talked about ESG, we talked about the skills of the people. So now coming on the digitalization automation part, so which has two aspects.
Yeah.
First of all, from the supply chain perspective, how do we operate in supply chain, in the facilities management or real estate industry from the automation digitalization perspective? Secondly, within the facilities management, there is so much automation which is happening. You just touched upon the robots, robotics and all. So that's another interesting area I would like to understand.
So in digitalization, right now the facility industry is moving towards the digitalization and mainly into AI and robotics. So the cleaning standards, for example, now has been started doing by robots instead of humans. But it's not only limited to robots, but as you say, for the sewage cleaning and all. Now here in India also, we have started using robotic cleaning in a big way. So one is help with the risk elimination because human life is important. And at the same time, the cleaning standard is, because it's a mechanized one, it gives more good results. So that's where the industry is moving. And in India also, I see that more and more robotic cleaning will come. It's already started. Not that at par with the Europe or Singapore per se, or even for Dubai. But yes, it has started. We had done recently a couple of demos by some companies with robotic cleaning, where the robot just simply starts going and moving, cleaning the floor, and it has a sensors and all, versus somebody with a
broom and
doing it. So of course, it helps in my cost savings in terms of manpower, and at the same time the cleaning standards is also important. Vis-a-vis when the robots. Now, where to use it, how to use it, and that's why we are talking about that integrated facility management contract, wherein it's up to my partner to invest how much into manpower and how much into mechanized or robots, so that he can also make money instead of just putting 20 people to just cleaning. Why not put 5 and 1 robot who does the job? That's how it is.
So is it getting momentum in India?
It is getting momentum. It is getting momentum. Not big way.
Okay.
Why? Because there's also another aspect. You have to accept. It's an industry which creates jobs on a lower level.
Yeah.
So we have to balance both. So it's a job creation ultimately for a lot many unskilled, semi-skilled people. So that's the reason it's gaining momentum, but it's gaining slow, little slow.
Okay.
But at some point of time, yes, as the input cost will start grow for construction. Today, land acquisition is simply in 3 to 4 digit crores only. So. The ROI now, return on investment for the developers, the period is now longer and longer. So that's important again. So it will get a momentum, but we'll have to balance with the local job creation for the locals versus the robotics. Yes. The thing in Europe and Singapore is different.
Quite different.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of startups, we see a lot of startups, and we see from the residential point of view, there are the startups in the parking or the access as well. So, how new startups are coming along in the facilities management?
I would say there are a lot of new startups coming into various aspects. Indian startups, yes, coming into, and the founders are like very young, from IITs and IIMs, not only IITs and IIM, but startups are coming, yes, and I would say. I would say from our organization perspective, we are very open in terms of if somebody is bringing a new technology or new idea on the table, we are not locking ourselves if it's a startup. I have seen in my career many companies who are locking themselves. No, you are just 2 years old. अभी तो आपका प्रोडक्ट अभी लॉन्च हुआ है तो कैसे करे क्या करे, but ultimately you will have to take some kind of a risk so that this entire startup environment can grow. And I'm very happy that
that will also lead to job creation.
That will also create a job creation as well. You are absolutely right. At the same time, the entire startup ecosystem will survive as well. Yes. So in my own experience, I'm sure yours as well, many companies it will be very difficult to get a new vendor registration. Whether it is a startup or whether it is somebody else. But yes, for startup there is a lot of that first deal crack, and then. But I am very happy that we have worked with many good startups. So we have worked with during COVID times. So we have worked with many startups. Okay. So water cleaning. Then many startups who are into the UV technology in our HVAC systems. There is a startup we have used with. In fact, one of our channel partner is also a startup for FM vertical for one of our premium property. Is also a startup. So we have given chance to given chance to startups also for FM vertical as well. Okay. And so it's very we have, and I think people should open their mind, not just lock that. Maybe at least you can start with some sample areas that prove your metal. Yes. And then we can think of a larger deal. Yeah. You should give a chance rather than just not opening doors.
The big players have that kind of
approach.
Because the big players are able to support them. The friendly startups will be able to gain some momentum.
Correct. Absolutely right. In fact, in solutions also, I have seen many people who are coming into solutions. Whether it is a building management systems, wherein the entire buildings are connected to each other. There are digitalizations. So we have water meters, we have flow meters, etc. How can you digitize it and then put something on the floor? Then how can you connect your entire building into one single management, wherein you have a command and control room and you can monitor the entire data, how your STP outflow is, how your temperature in the X floor is, and then
your electricity
consumptions, how that pattern, and for that whatever the software solutions you require, there are many startups coming into that. Apart from the tier 1, like Siemens and Schindlers and they are there, but even startups are also coming.
So what is the expectation from the business or the management or the developer from the facilities management per se? Is it cost saving or what exactly it is?
It's a balance of both. So one, you have to be cost sensitive as well as since we are a client facing organization. So satisfaction clients is very important because ultimately they are the one who are paying you rates. So it's a balance of both. So how we can satisfy our clients is important, as well as how we can be a cost effective as well.
So continuity of the service, quality.
Continuity of the service and quality. So I would say the classic, QCD, quality, cost and delivery. That's important. Okay. All of three. It's not like that they only call it Q is important or C is important, but it's all of three. Delivery is on the ground.
And which is seen by everyone.
Which is seen by everyone. The first impression, once you enter the premises or gate, the first interface is your security on the gate. How the security is greeting you, or how they are asking for your small things like gate pass or entry pass. And if you are coming by car, then are they guiding you towards a particular your area where you park, or you are telling people where the building is located, which floor. That's the first interface.
Yes, definitely. So security over the period has become more and more niche nowadays. More skills required.
Yes, more skills are required, and I think there are a lot of training go into security, is how to be more friendly. Earlier days, what earlier used to happen is that most of the security personnel used to be from the security background. They are ex-military or and they have their typical way of training. I'm not saying that they are not, but they have their training so far. They have been trained that way. But when it comes to interacting with the clients and associates, then you need to have that approach. So even today, even now, even the security agencies, suppliers are also focusing a lot of on their training to their personnel who are on the ground, because ultimately your first impression is last impression. What impression is on your gate is important. Because many times people complain that your security is rude.
Sometimes even the customer is not correct, but the security has to deal with them.
Deal with them.
And they have to have the kind of patience and maturity how to deal with a different kind of customers. Like especially we have seen it.
And it is not with only commercial. Even in the
residential
also.
Yeah.
You have to handle lot many people's ego.
So does the program like Skill India all are really helping, because you from the facilities management point of view giving employment to a lot of people who are either unskilled or semi-skilled or that kind of brackets. So any such government initiative
we are not directly doing it per se, but yes, most of the tier 1 partner like security partners or housekeeping partners, they are doing it.
Okay.
But while selecting the partners, major focus one of the major criteria of selecting a partner is that do you have your own training institutes?
Okay.
And what are the kind of training programs you have? So accordingly we give the weightage in terms of selection criteria. So most of our partners right now, they have their own training institutes in wherever they are working. Let's say in Mumbai or Pune or even in Chennai, wherever they are working, they are having their own training institute. So they are continuously upgrading the skills of their manpower continuously. And we have couple of suppliers wherein their employee turnover ratio, because these are all unskilled employees. If somebody gives them 500 rupees more as a overall wage, they will leave. So for the biggest challenge is the retention. Retention is the biggest challenge, because if there are two parks or two buildings besides, and the security guard is interacting on a chai ka tapri with another security guard, and he's saying that मेरे को 200 रुपए इधर ज़्यादा मिलता है, you will find that the next day this guy is gone.
He's manning someone else's gate.
Exactly.
Okay. So how does this labor laws, labor availability, you just talked about the employee retention, how that impacting labor laws in this part of supply chain?
Labor laws definitely yes, and I think the major aspect is that the labor laws are very fragmented, and there are state labor laws and there are union labor laws as well. And I think government is looking at this term in terms of modifying the labor laws so that there has to be some uniformity in terms of labor laws as well. So as I earlier says also, some states have very very friendly, business friendly labor laws. Some states have, though there are friendly labor laws, but at the same time, the cost is very high because then you have to pay a little high on the wages as well. At the same time, there are local issues as well. You very well knows. Influence, there will be a local influence on areas that need to be tackled in a way, So that is one challenges also in terms of labor availability. Labor availability is not an issue, but the laws are fragmented. So managing the entire compliance is a challenge. So that's the reason we have an entire compliance division altogether, who entirely manages the labor aspects of the this thing. So it's not under procurement. So whatever the labor compliance the vendor is doing, he is submitting all the documents to them. So their wage sheets and PFs and EAO some, and they are checking it and they are scoring into. We have a centralized labor monitoring tool wherein the suppliers they upload all these scanned documents. So we are doing it on automation slowly on that as well.
So you can just now touch upon the automation we also just talked 10 minutes back. So any specific new development or a new tool which you are using in terms of which helps you to do the procurement or supply chain better?
So say like I would say like the guided sourcing. I'm not going to take any ERP names, but yes, there will be a guided sourcing, and so what I foresee is that going forward, the traditional way of sending RFPs by email, wherein you send the vendors email that I need quote and blah 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 and stuff like that.
That is all over now.
That is coming to an end. I would say yes. It is not the end, but it is coming to an end. So that mail communication is slow and people are moving into an automated, so that the RFP is created into your ERP, and through that the vendor are putting their prices. It goes into a negotiation model as well. Even there is no manual negotiation happening or very less. Like in our days, phone is always ringing, and we are calling vendors and negotiating. That now is happening through tool.
Yes.
And so that's what it is. And then creation of orders rather than punching the orders directly. Once you have negotiated, your contract is done. So it's an end-to-end. Most various ERPs are industries are implementing, wherein there is very less human intervention, and that's the reason you never know that कि बंदा कहाँ पे बैठा है और उसने order कहाँ पे भेजा है. The shared services model is, that's why it's boomed, in supply chain. I mean, people sitting in India and creating orders for Europe.
Okay. So it's been a great discussion, Prashant. So,
absolutely.
What are the takeaways you would like to give to the youth?
Absolutely. So somebody who wanted, or somebody who is an aspirant in making a career in this vertical, my suggestion would be, पहले तो आप अपना basic graduation करा लो in any vertical. You can be engineer, you can be commerce graduate as well. You can be. So procurement supply chain is not limiting everybody कि बाबा हमको engineering चाहिए. वो myth है एक.
Okay.
That's a myth. All you need is your sense. You have to have that flair, and business acumen is important. Because ultimately आपके हाथ में खजाने की चाबी है. So that business sense is very important. You will have to have that kind of a ownership, pride, and business here. So you can do fantastic in your career, and then see that if you can do MBA or masters there are a lot of courses available right now for doing MBA in supply chain management. Various institutes are offering that you can do, wherein you can learn the text model and skills upgrade as well. When it comes to career, my biggest suggestion would be, first, if you get a job in procurement, let's say at an entry level, let's say as a buyer, focus yourself for first 5 years in learning. The more you learn, the more drivers you do, that will only help you in the longevity of your career.
Okay.
Because what I have seen that most of the young people, they get frustrated within the 2-3 years. अरे यार मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ,
not getting development.
Because it's a thankless job. It's a thankless job. Nobody will come and say thank you to you, and that's why there is a negativity comes to the young aspirant who is early into it, and they again कि ये support function है, and मेरे को switch मारना है. But yes, I am telling you, future there will be good compensation for experienced people in this vertical.
Okay.
The industry will grow, and you will require the specialized people into this. And it's very difficult then to get specialized guys on that. But it's all about your first 5 years is important. I mean, everything is secondary. Just focus on learning. कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ ये मत पूछो. I would say. And I have not many stories what we have done in our earlier careers. You know very well. कैसे दौड़ाते थे हमारे बॉस लोग. So. But I am not saying that कि आप वैसे करो, अभी तो कोई होता नहीं ऐसा, that's in the past. But it's all important that learning, आपका learning कभी बंद मत करो कि if you have been asked to do this or to visit a factory or visit a vendor or and secondly, your biggest source of information is your vendor.
Okay.
Whenever you meet vendor, try to get maximum information from it, apart from your product deal and whatever that is one part. What is happening across industry? They are the biggest source of your information. They are the Wikipedias.
They used to be the Wikipedias for us, but they remain
nowadays. But it's all about talking them. It's all about how friendly you are talking with them. How
that also comes to the point of supplier relationship.
Supplier relationships is very important. Very, very. I'm telling you, I worked in 5 different industries. Still, I know my various top suppliers and keep in touch with them. I know friendship level. And then pick up a call, भाई तुम्हारी industry में आज क्या चल रहा है. But this is a way of connecting people, and that's important because this is the only function in the sales and the procurement and supply chain wherein it is a people interface.
So we are equivalent of the salesperson.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So on the selling side, the person seller is going outside and selling the product. We are the ones who are purchasing it.
Yes. So ये मत सोचो कि ये non-glamorous है. It's just the flip the coin.
Other side of the
coin. Yeah. That's what I would say. Have patience, and then if you decide that you want to make a career in this field, you will have a fantastic career. Definitely you will have a fantastic career, and there is a growth. There is definitely growth. Then it's up to you that you want to go into direct material or you want to go into indirect material. At the same time, nowadays there is a lot of stress on the MIS and the analytics parts. You can become a consultant also. The consulting vertical is in supply chain procurement is nowadays is another career wherein big fours are looking for the experience into supply chains and procurement, the big fours of the world. And every organization now has some kind of a centralized center of excellence, wherein you can be part of and doing analytics, procurement analytics and MIS and stuff like that. That's also process excellence. These are all subfields which are available for somebody to make a career out of it. Yeah.
Great, Prashant. I am sure that viewers will definitely benefit, especially the targeted audience, which are the youth.
Yeah, I hope so.
Right, it is a really pleasure talking to you, and I'm looking forward at some point of time you are again able to come and.
Sure. Anytime. It was my pleasure, Sandeep, that you called me up and we had this discussion. I'm really happy and best wishes for you. May this initiative grow and we reach to millions of young aspirants, people whom we can at least do some change in their thought process and support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prashant.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.